An introduction to diagnosis. In Fuxiwen, diagnosis is important in determining which tissues of the body are imbalanced in order for us to determine what's the best intervention to bring balance back to the system to get rid of the symptoms. So we understand that there are 5 phases that qi can fall into, and each phase, whether it's extremely cold, neutral, slightly warm, or extremely warm, these 5 elements, water, metal, earth, wood, and fire, that these elements, any one of these elements can be a bead on the string. And each tissue has a unique fingerprint where specific beads are supposed to be on that string. And the details of this get important, especially as we get into later and later skill levels. But at this early stage, I'm going to simplify the entire process for you because I want you to be able to start applying basic diagnosis right away with as little information as necessary. So, this is where yin and yang comes in. Yin is cold, yang is hot. It's very easy for the hands to feel the difference between hot and cold. We know that heaven, up, down, is yang, and therefore should be hot. We know also that north-south is the direction of yin. North to south should be cold. If it's hot, we know there's an imbalance there. If up and down in heaven is cold, we know there's an imbalance there. East to west is the man level. That's neutral. And if we feel too much heat, or we feel too much cold instead of neutrality, then we know that there's an imbalance there. This is a very basic way of doing diagnosis. So the way we do a diagnosis for a tissue is we take the angle for a tissue. Let's say we're going to look at a middle muscle, 60 degrees, basically upwards from the floor, and west plus 10 degrees. That's the yin middle muscle. And then there's the yang middle muscle, which is 60 degrees above the floor, and then east minus 10 degrees. And what we do is we feel up and down, east to west, north to south. We keep the angle of the teishin. Remember, this is called a teishin, which is essentially a chopstick, and you can use a chopstick at home. You keep the angle at the angle of the tissue angle. Remember, each tissue has its unique fingerprint. So to do diagnosis, you have to maintain that angle at all times. So if this is the angle for the muscle, I'm going to keep this angle as I move my hand up and down. I'm going to keep this angle as I move my hand east to west and north to south. And north to south should feel cold or cool. Up and down should feel warm or hot. And east to west should feel neutral. Neither too hot or too cold. If it feels this way, I know that this tissue is balanced. Now when you get to advanced levels of Fuxiwen, you basically, you discover what we're doing here is we're glossing over reality. What we're doing is we're putting the basic grid over every tissue. In reality, every tissue has a unique combination of hot and cold, which you learn about advanced skill level. And so in order to do diagnosis and to treat as deeply as possible, you learn what the specific signature is for this middle muscle, for instance, or for the bone, or for a tendon, or for a lymphocyte. Each cell of the body, each tissue of the body has its unique fingerprint of these 5 elements. But in novice theory, we're not going to learn any of that. What we're going to do is just take the basic grid, which is hot is heaven, up and down. East to west is neutral man. And north to south is cool, earth, the earth plane. Now it's important to not confuse 2 things, earth chi and the earth plane. I've decided to stand by tradition and call these things what they've been called traditionally, so that should you learn more about traditional theory, you'll be able to integrate very easily with traditional theory without having to do translation in your head. So the earth plane is north to south. Earth chi is one of the 5 elements. And I will do my best to differentiate this whenever I can mention either one of those. So diagnosis is looking at imbalances of heat or yang up and down, imbalances of cool going north to south, and imbalances of neutral going east to west for any tissue. And if you have previously, I talked about with any disease, you want to write down all the possible tissues that could be related to that disease, and then you can go to the tissue angle chart at the official Fushiwen website. And basically, you put your teishin, you use your compass, and you use the angle relative, the vertical angle relative to the ground, and you basically move your teishin, your chopstick, into the angle that it specifies for that specific tissue that's on your list, and move up and down, east to west, north and south. And if you feel it that the temperature is incorrect, treat it. And the next thing I'm going to do is talk about how you treat it.